Welcome to the KSSR space program. So this is going to be a little different than the mostly stock career playthrough I did. I am going to be using a heavily modified KSP installation, using a set of total conversion mods, some of which I developed myself, others I heavily edited to fit in this like total conversion mod pack, basically to recreate some highlights of the actual and planned missions of the Soviet space program. I'm not going to be going out to all the planets and everything, so this one's going to be a lot shorter. I'm not going to be going out to like land on Vol and stuff. So let me talk about what I'm running for a mod set. Now, first things first, I have to apologize. I can't distribute this mod set because some of the components of it are things that I've like tweaked myself, and I do not have the original mod author's permission to redistribute derivative works of their mods. So, don't blame me, don't blame them. I'm just trying not to like steal other people's crap. For example, this tech tree I developed completely from scratch. This is entirely mine. However, a number of these icons I have borrowed from some other KSP projects and mod authors. So I can't redistribute my custom tech tree because some of the icons I don't have permission to distribute. Speaking of the tech tree, this is, as you can see at a quick glance, this is much different than the regular stock KSP tech tree. It starts off with aviation, and then we work our way up through aviation stuff. Yeah, that's a fun one. And then we get into rocketry and everything else. Now, another thing that I've done is I've toned down the science requirements for these techs to be a little bit closer to stock. When I run this total conversion myself, single player just for fun, these techs cost a hell of a lot more, especially up in rank 3, to research. And I've toned them down to something a little bit closer to stock, because I'm not going to be running like 10 probes to Duna and like 20 probes landing on the moon, the way that I would be if I was doing, a single player career just for fun. And additionally, part of the side effect of this mod pack is that like there are, let me see if I can find a couple. Yeah, like see some of these parts, they have like new science experiments in them. So there's like extra science experiments that are not present in the base game. And like there's more science to get from every biome. So once I get into like some of these techs right around this area, I can get a lot more return on my science if I was trying to min-max it out of one mission than I could in a regular stock playthrough, which is part of the reason when I run this, not for content, this tech, instead of being 150, this would be like a 500 point research. And I'd use a mod called Custom Barn Kit that changed how many research points, like what the cutoff is for rank 1, rank 2, and rank 3 in the Science Center. Obviously, of course, you probably noticed, like, a lot of this stuff, custom parts. Custom rocket parts, all that kind of stuff. That's all fine. We also have custom contracts. Now, I'm running the same expanded Anomaly Surveyor that I had in the single-player career playthrough, with some of the custom ones that I added myself, like, find the extra launch sites. I'm also running... These are all custom-developed contracts that I made for this pack. For example, there's these Koyuz missions. These are my Kerbalized version of the Soyuz program. So, Where is it? Yeah, like, so for the first one, all you gotta do is send a Koyu's mission, like, up into space and land, you know? And then, you know, it gets further to, like, send some, you know, off in, like, an orbit around the moon and come back and stuff like that. We also have some new agents. We're going to be getting contracts from the Ministry of Space Exploration. We're going to be getting aviation contracts from the Ministry of Defense, you know, and so on and so on. So those just add a little bit more flavor. Now, we're going to get started, and first thing we're going to do is gather scientific data from Kerbin. Now, with my first little thing I'm going to do here, I want to get this basic aviation and maybe one of these other ones out of the way right up front. And the reason is the starting part set that we begin with is very, very limited, I think is the best way to put it. So I'm literally just going to do that, get some science, and call it a mission. And you're gonna see me do something similar over on the runway. So I'm gonna skip through this. These first couple of little expositions I'm gonna do here aren't especially exciting, but you're gonna get to see. I'm just gonna collect some science. Okay, so that little expedition we just did there with that ridiculous vehicle will be enough to clear out one of our contracts and get us a little bit of science, so we can at least try and make something that vaguely resembles a more conventional aircraft. Now I want to grab the landing gear. Ends up being really important to get early on, as well as some of these tail connectors. And frankly, the parachutes. But jet engines, also good. And the mystery goo, also good. So I think I'm going to get the mystery goo. And we're going to use that again, just to grab a little bit of extra science. So if you'll forgive me for just a moment. Alright, so that was able to get us enough science to get our basic engineering here. And now we're going to use that to try and get... We'll launch our first vessel. We'll get ourselves our first proper aircraft. Alright, we'll start from scratch on that. Alright, now because our parts count is still very low, a maximum of 30 parts, this isn't going to be a very elaborate or interesting aircraft design. You know, just a quick, basic sort of a prop here. But it's a start. Yep. It's a start. And this will be the foundation of some designs to come later on. Okay, so this is our KA-1, our first proper aircraft design. And we've got some science experiments on here. We've got a landing parachute. We've got wheels that actually have enough ground clearance to not strike the prop. And with luck, our weight and balance is correct, and this will actually fly. Oh, I almost forgot. Okay. Now we're flying. Not bad. So from here, let's, I don't think we can... Nope, yeah, we can't transmit. We're going to grab some quick science from just flying around Kerbal Space Center. And we're going to come back around and see if we can do a landing. Our unupgraded runway is not ideal. So I'm gonna spend some funds to upgrade our runway and our space plane hangar before we upgrade our rocket launching facilities. Because again, this tech tree is intended for doing aviation missions before anything else. So you're gonna see me do some aircraft here, and let me just land this puppy. A little bit of a touch and go there. That's okay. There we go. Now we should be down. All right. So there's our first flight, and let's see what we get for science out of that. 32. Not bad. Now, what can we get for 32 science? We can go up into structural engineering, which will get us some, like, decouplers and whatnot. Oh, we can't actually get that yet. I lied. We can get some antennas. Or we can get, like, some jet engines and stuff. I think we're going to have to end up going with that just for right now. And turbojet engines is what we're going to be saving up for next. We've got some good stuff there. And, of course, some of these extra wing parts are always good. Now, we're going to look at our contracts here. Oh, did we... Alright, we did complete... Yeah, we completed launch our first vessel because the plane counts. We're going to extend the island airfield. And we're going to see about doing an altitude record of 5,000. I don't know if we're going to get the altitude record of 5,000 yet. Ooh. Alright, yeah, that's important. But this is also very important, so I kind of think I want to save up for that. But at the same time, having, like, a decent runway, I'm torn. Yeah, I'll just do that. Alright. So we're going to fly out to the island airfield. And we'll basically kind of use our same design here. And I'm not going to be bothering with this pack with this career to, you know, like show the whole flight for some of these really long duration ones. So I'll do a little bit of clipping here, you know, just so getting out to the island airfield, which isn't especially exciting, this goes a little bit quicker. Alright, so we came away from that with 37 science, which isn't really too bad. It is enough to get us turbojet engines, which will let us progress closer towards rocketry and also towards some more advanced aviation stuff. Now, I'm also thinking, like, yeah, some of this will eventually be kind of important to get, but for right now, yeah, I've got those. For right now, it's going to be turbojet engines, I guess. So, alright. Now, let's see what we can do. Yeah, we cleared those out. Let's see what we can do for some contracts. I think the Cove, I think, is right near KSP. That's the one right up north. Oh, pod and hangar. Yeah, the Cove is the one right up north. Pod and hangar, I didn't think it gave a contract for that. I don't know why that's showing up. Maybe it's just an interesting point. Anyway, so we've got a contract for the Cove. Oh, did we? Oh, we actually have to run an EVA over to the pod in the hangar. All right, well, I'm going to do that real quick, and, yeah. Whoops. Alright, we got the pod. It also looks like we have to go up into the control tower. So there's that. And I can't time warp too much because, as you saw, my plane over there is kind of doing some popcorn over on the runway. It's kind of fun to watch, but I don't want to risk it blowing up because I do have some science in there. Alright. So it looks like that completed the contract. So we are going to recover our brave pilot, and then we're going to recover our aircraft from the tracking station once this eventually loads up here. And we got some minor diminishing returns from that, from some of the science in those goo canisters and whatnot. Only 17, not really enough to get us anything, but you know we're halfway there towards getting like structural engineering. I am gonna take a quick break, and when I come back, we're gonna get some more aviation going. Okay, and we're back. So now we are gonna go and see if we can do that set an altitude record of 5,000 meters. And we also have one to build a jet to break Mach 1, but I don't think we're going to be able to do that just yet. Not with the parts we have. So we're going to try and get up to 5,000 meters and come back and land safely. So let's get our KA-1, and we got to make a couple of quick modifications. Whoop. Not what I wanted. Alright, so we're doing good there, and what I want to do... Yeah, we don't have any parts to spare. So we're going to see how high we can get on this prop engine. Now, to complete the aviation contracts, and this is something, you know, I added in because I made these contracts. Something I added in for a little challenge, we have to land on the runway. And that's also one of the reasons I upgraded the runway as like my first thing here. It makes the landings a lot easier when it's a bit more flat. So I'm going to see how high I can get this. All right, so we were able to successfully break 5,000 meters and hold it for the 5 seconds we needed there. So we're going to fly this back to the runway, do our landing, and hopefully call this a mission for a quick reward. Oh. All right, we ended up landing off the side of the runway, so we're going to have to just taxi a little bit to get back up onto the runway itself. Okay, there we go. That should do it. Yep. All right, so that's how we complete the aviation contracts. And I think I've got a series of those that are like altitude and speed going. It's been a while since I've run this particular conversion. Okay, so now I've got 12,000 meters. That's going to be tough. North Pole and South Pole. Now look at the rewards from that. Those are going to be some good long distance flights. I've got this one to investigate the cove. So I'm going to go do that one real quick. And again, you know, we can do a lot of these missions just with this first little prop plane we made. This is a fairly robust and reliable design. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to go tag that cove launch site we've got just north of here. And just for good measure, I'm going to tag it as a waypoint. Okay, so we have visited the cove, and that is a new launch site that we can use, and it's also, from the looks of it, good boat dock if we were doing any boat mods. Now, for this particular contract and stuff, I don't have to go back to KSC to land at the runway, so I'm not gonna. Just gonna touch down here. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, and I grabbed some science while I was mid-flight. Not bad. All right, we're up to 41 science and 120,000 funds. Now, our main goal is to get to that 225 to expand our space plane hangar. That's kind of important. And the reason is, in order to build any more advanced aircraft than this, we need to get past that parts limit of 30. Because even though this prop engine, this ASK-82 Cyclone radial engine is very efficient, it's not going to be efficient enough with, you know, like one fuel tank attached to it to get all the way to the North Pole. So that's a problem. Now let's take a look at what other contracts we can get. Alright, a jet to break Mach 1 is not going to happen. We might be able to do altitude using a small jet aircraft. So let's try that. And let's see where these other... Alright, all of these other stations that we can visit are like way far away. So these are all going to be like way out of range. So it looks like it's going to be just the altitude contract for now. So let's build ourselves a good little Soviet jet. Okay, so we've called this the KU-11. It may bear a passing familiarity to an aircraft some of you might be familiar with. The real challenge is going to be, it's the part count. The limit of 30 parts makes jets very difficult early on. And we're not going to have a lot of thrust, so I have no idea what the maximum altitude is going to look like. But we're going to give it a shot and hope for the best. Okay, so long story short, even in a zoom climb, we are not able to break 12,000 meters. We got up above 11,000 a couple of times, but our speed came down too low. So what I'm gonna try and do, I am gonna try and launch this with less fuel, and see if cutting down on the weight will improve that performance at all. Because we've still got plenty of fuel in that nose tank and plenty out here on the wings. So we're going to try that again and see if having less fuel makes any difference. Okay. Well, that did it. As in War Thunder, taking off with empty fuel tanks made enough of a performance difference to get what we needed. So now we just got to fly back and land on the runway. Not bad. And I'm going to do some Kraken insurance, having just achieved that little milestone. Well, we nosed over our landing in a tricycle, in a tail dragon jet there. That's something I can honestly say I haven't done in quite a while. But that wasn't a big science mission, but on the second try, after emptying our fuel tanks, we did get the objective. So this is kind of, we're kind of at a weird point in the tech tree. We've got 49. What'll that get us? That'll get us basic rocketry. Which actually isn't bad. So I think I'm actually going to grab that. And this way we'll be able to take the contract to escape the atmosphere. That'll get us some extra milestones and money, which is really important. Because that's what we need right now is money. Because once we can upgrade the spaceplane hangar to level 2, that's when things are really going to kind of open up for us. So we're going to take this contract to escape the atmosphere. That's going to have some good rewards. And we're going to launch our first rocket. Now, this is going to look familiar. But we're not actually going to be doing what you might think we're going to be doing with that. Where is our... Yeah. That's literally just there to let us control the rocket. And we need to... Fairing is not staged. This is literally our rocket. This is all we're going to do. We are just going to send... And I don't think I have launch clamps. I lied. We're going to put a couple of batteries in it. Alright, so it's only going to cost us $4,300 to launch this. Oh, and you know what? We don't have... Well, I think my Sputnik probe core Yes, it has a small data transmitter built in. All right, so all we're going to do literally is just basically launch this straight up. We're just going to be going to escape the atmosphere with it and set altitude records and that sort of a thing. Not going to be doing any science. Although in retrospect, maybe I could have transmitted like some temperature. But we're just trying to escape the atmosphere to complete that contract, and we're going to get some milestones, milestone achievements for like max altitude reached and that sort of a thing. And we'll just blindly fire this off in the general direction of that other competing space program on the other side of the planet, the non-KSSR space program. And, you know, I mean, if it happens to land in their general vicinity, I mean, you know, who knows? Who knows? See, we're just flying off in some random direction. I mean, once it gets going up here, we can't really control what happens. All right, we are going to easily escape the atmosphere now. That's good. And this thing is almost an SSTO now that I'm looking at it. Oh man, all right, yeah, that could even be like an SSTO because it's got like 0 weight to it. The Delta V compounds pretty well. All right, and we are actually in space. So, oh yeah, look at all that money, and the contracts. Oh yeah. All right, that's good stuff. That is good stuff. Now let's check where we're at for funding. Yeah, okay. Now I kind of need a little bit more to make sure that we have enough to actually like build and launch the aircraft that we're going to need to build. So I'm going to do a little trick here. I'm going to control this rocket, and I'm just going to guide it up. You know, I'm going to control it up towards the top of this flight trajectory, and maybe we didn't quite get any extra milestones. I had hoped that maybe we'd get another altitude milestone, but oh well, it didn't hurt to try. All right, so I need let's take a look at the contracts real quick. See if I can get some quick cash. Okay, this will be good for quick cash. That will actually probably get us everything we need. So we just have to explore the transmagnetic anomaly near the Kerbal Space Center. So literally, I'm just going to grab this. We're just going to drive it off the side of the runway and go do an EVA over at that monolith that's right off the side of the runway. All right, well, that was a little bit of a problem. We nosed over again. Note to self, I need to redesign that with a tricycle undercarriage. But that doesn't matter. We can recover it minus those couple of parts. And this should get us our contract completion for checking this out. Perfect. All right, so we'll recover our pilot. then recover our plane for some extra surplus funds. All right, now it looks like we also got some science for that. So let's check what we got. We got 53 science. We can get solid fuel rockets. We can get more rocket parts. That'll be enough to make a good orbital rocket. We can get structural engineering. This will be important long term. And we can get HF communications. I'm going to take this for this Communitron 16S. And also because it leads to these other things that we're definitely going to be needing later on. But that inline antenna actually ends up being really important. So now we're going to make a long-range aircraft taking advantage of our 255 part cap. We're going to make a long-range aircraft to complete those contracts to go to the North Pole and the South Pole. Okay, so this ridiculous thing, the ILK-18, is our attempt at a four-engined prop that will have enough range to reach the polar ice caps. So let's see if it'll fly. It gets off the ground. That is a good sign. That's a good start. So now what we're going to do we're going to revert back and go grab those contracts now that we know that this monstrosity will actually get off the ground and fly. And I always like to check because those custom wing parts and stuff that I'm using, occasionally they don't always have proportionally high values for like lift and whatnot. Alright, so we can get these other like TMAs and stuff, but I'm not looking for that. I want to get North Pole, and we'll see if we can fly over and tag Glacier Lake while we're at it. So, North Pole and Glacier Lake. Glacier Lake. North Pole. And again, we're not grabbing more simply because of the max number of contracts. And it'll cost us like all of our money to upgrade our thing there. And you can see this cost us $42,000 to fly this plane out. Yeah. Now, if this works, I'm going to do something a little cheesy. After we tag the locations for those other contracts, I'm going to land, go back into the Kerbal Space Center, grab the contract for the crashed UFO, switch back to the plane, and fly over and grab it while we're there. So that'll be a good way to save some time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this ridiculous thing into the air. I really do like the look of this plane. Whoa! Uh-oh! 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 We have a little bit of aileron control. That was a little bit more aileron control than I expected. Let me yeah, there we go. That'll be more than sufficient. Minor details. Ignore that. Ignore that. Minor design defect. And in normal Soviet style, structural and fundamental design defects with the aircraft were worked out mid-flight. Okay, that roll rate is a lot better. Okay. Alright, let me even this thing out. The handling on this is not great. I am literally just going to get this flying in the general direction of the North Pole. We're going to do some Kraken insurance in case it blows up when I do the time warp. Okay, and I am going to clip and see you at the North Pole. Alright, so we passed over the North Pole. That's good news. And along the way, I also... Oh, our camera's doing some weird stuff. Along the way, I also grabbed some science, like flying high, or flying over the northern ice shelf, the temperature scan and stuff. So that got us one contract. Now we're going to go fly by Glacier Lake. And if you notice my fuel, we're barely we haven't even used half the fuel on this thing. So, you know, prop aircraft using the Fire Spitter mod, which is what I'm using for these prop engines, you know, they do deliver really good range. The catch is, look at my speed, 142 meters per second. I don't think I topped like over 160 or so, like this entire flight. Even on like 4x time warp, this has been a long flight. I have been at this for quite a while. So, yeah, after I go tag Glacier Lake, I am going to land and call this an episode, because I need a break. Okay, so supposedly we are approaching Glacier Lake. I'm guessing maybe it's on that little peninsula out there? I don't remember. I mean, I know I tagged this my last career save, but I don't remember where it actually was. I'm gonna guess it's on one of these peninsulas. So let's fly in and have a little bit of a closer look. Yup. Okay. I think I see some structures right there. All right. And we'll do a little flyby. Not bad. Alright, I am going to circle around and land here on the ice. Because that looks like it's a... Oh, wait. Tundra. I didn't bring enough thermometers. Oh, well. Alright, anyway. I am going to go ahead and land down here on the ice. Presuming I don't crash this thing. Come on. Okay. Alright, this counts as the northern ice shelf, so let's get a crew report. Let's get some mystery goo. Let's shut down these engines. Get an EVA report. All right. I know that I originally said I was going to go back to KSC and then fly to the UFO site, but it took me so damn long to fly up there. I'm just going to recover. I think the lesson learned there, again, you know, the prop aircraft have very good range. Didn't even burn like half of our fuel to do all that. And we got a lot of money, so that was good. But we desperately need to research some faster aircraft, which is going to be some of this. And where is it? Once we get... Yeah, we get the high-speed flight. Start getting into these jet engines. Things get interesting. So a couple of these other parts I definitely need to get sooner rather than later. So I'm going to grab that structural engineering right now. And that'll at least get us set up for some of these other techs. And we don't need too much more science to do it. So what I'm going to do first, before anything else, I'm going to take... Okay. South Pole might be doable. Yeah, South Pole's doable right now. Well, a whole bunch of this is actually doable right now. But for the time being, I'm going to call this an episode. And in the next one, we will finish out all of our aviation stuff. And in this career save, I'm not going to be going and collecting all of like the TMAs and all this. At the end of doing the exploration on Kerbin, some of these, like the one or two of them, I am going to do just for the science, but like some of the farther ones, I'm not going to bother. Once I get to the point where, you know, we're done with aviation, I'm just going to cheat those contracts out to get them off the list. So anyway, though, make sure to tune into the next one where we get going with some more interesting aircraft designs. As always, thanks for watching.